Yesterday, I shared 8 habits that have earned me millions of dollars over the years, and one of those habits in particular drew a lot of attention from people who maybe had never even thought of this particular habit. I think the other 7 habits were fairly straightforward, things that you probably encountered in your day-to-day life, but this is actually my super secret weapon that I want to share with you. It is to keep a decision journal. Now, to understand the decision journal and its power, we have to walk backwards a little bit to understand that judgment is a superpower. So the ability to make better decisions than your competition, whether this is in business or in life in general, like your ability to make quality decisions is what's going to separate you from the rest of the marketplace. Now, the problem with decision making is that we were not taught how to make good decisions in school. At no point has there ever been a class you've probably taken that teaches you how to make good decisions. And so we're left to just make decisions and then retroactively audit those decisions. And what ends up happening a lot of times is we look back with the gift of hindsight and we tend to create narratives around why we made a certain decision. But we do it retroactively, not really knowing what the thought process or the emotions that we were feeling at the time of that decision, what those were. And so the decision journal, what that does is it compresses that timeline of feedback and it creates an objective measure by which we can look at why we made a decision and judge in the future, once we have more information as to the results and the outcome of that decision, whether the rationale that we used for making that decision was actually any good. Okay, so this is what the decision journal looks like for me. When I'm faced with a really big decision, something that is going to have a big impact on my life or my business, it could be also fairly small, but might have some impact that ripples indefinitely. And so I want to make sure that I'm making the best decision that I can. What I do is I sit down and I have a decision journal template. I'm happy to share it with anybody that wants a copy. Just DM me or shoot me an email at anthony@invictusmultifamily.com. I'm happy to shoot you a copy of that. And the way it works is first we audit our emotional state because we want to be aware of what emotions we're feeling at the time of making a decision, because emotions can very much cloud our objective mindset. Remember, feelings and emotions make it feel like dots connect that do not connect. So once more, emotions make it feel as though dots connect that do not connect. So we need to be really cognizant of what emotions we're feeling at the time of making a decision. Ideally, we're going to be in as neutral state as possible. But on this template that I have, it lists a bunch of different emotions. I'm feeling calm, I'm feeling confident, I'm feeling frustrated, anxious. Going through that process of saying, okay, where am I at in this? And next, we're going to start asking some questions in terms of what is the actual problem that I'm trying to solve for. Trying to write it out as clearly as possible. And from there, once we've identified the problem, and that's actually a pretty big step because a lot of times we don't actually have a firm understanding of what the problem we're trying to solve is. We have a vague inkling of it, but by writing it down, we have to actually make the ephemeral nature of our thoughts physically manifested on the page. And that's a slow, cumbersome process, but through it, we come to a better understanding of what's the actual issue here. And as you're doing that, you might unpack, oh, actually what I'm trying to solve for, what I thought I was trying to solve for isn't actually the issue. It's actually this other thing. So that's what we're first trying to do, is get really clear on what we're trying to solve for. And from there, we're going to start asking questions around what are the different plans of attack that we could employ? Like, what are the different ways we could solve this problem? What were some legitimate alternative solutions that we have considered? Next, we're going to take those alternative solutions and then boil it down to what we think could happen based off of those different decisions. If we were to go this way or go that way, what would the end result be? And now here's the really important thing, is next we're going to figure out and try to put down a number of what we think the probability is of success or failure of any one of these things, right? Because sometimes when we look back retroactively on something, we feel a whole lot more confident that it was going to work out than we felt at the time. And so this is where it's really valuable to sit and actually say, I think this course of action that I'm going to take has a 32% or whatever chance of success. And these other solutions, I think they have these probabilities. And that's really helpful for dialing in and saying, like, you really weren't as confident that this was going to work out as it ultimately did. Or maybe you were overly confident. You thought there was a 90% chance that this is going to work and it didn't. That's a valuable metric to understand. So on my template, there's also a bunch of other questions that we go through to solidify this process. And sometimes the decision journal takes 5 minutes. Sometimes it takes a half an hour. Depends on the magnitude of the decision I'm trying to make. But it's one of the most powerful tools that I have in my arsenal. And it's because writing is a super secret weapon that most people do not realize they have at their disposal. Now, why is writing so damn important? It's because the act of writing is slow, it's cumbersome, it's laborious, because we're taking the chaotic jumble of thoughts that is going through all of our minds at any given moment. And there are thousands. If you've ever tried to meditate, you see how your monkey mind just jumps from thought to thought to thought constantly. It's never sitting still. So when we're trying to think about a topic or what we feel on a topic, it's very difficult to keep that line of thought clear and cohesive without getting lost in the jungle as the monkey mind just swings from branch to branch. Writing is a way of taking that monkey and forcing him through a very narrow hallway until he gets to the end destination. And it's hard, and that's why people don't do it, is it's uncomfortable. And it takes a long time. And unfortunately, a lot of people left school with the impression that they suck at writing because they couldn't write an essay, they couldn't write persuasively. That's not really what this is about. This is about clearly articulating your thoughts to yourself, if for no other reason, just so that you gain deeper clarity of what it is that you actually think is true in the world. And so this practice, the decision journal, I think is one of the most powerful tools that I've developed that has helped me in my personal and professional career. I believe, I know it can help and serve you as well. So if you're interested in getting that template, just shoot me an email, Anthony@invictusmultifamily.com. And I'll see you guys in the next video.